That is what unlocks the affordability for the Bharat consumer.
They are consuming about $700 billion of goods and services.
Bharat consumers transact in small ticket sizes.
This is a cohort that no one can choose to ignore anymore.
Let's dive deeper into value grocery with Kushal and Mrigank. So Mrigank, how big is the Bharat opportunity and who is this new grocery shop?
So before talking about the Bharat opportunity, I would like to really talk about who is the Bharat customer. We keep on hearing this word quite a bit, right, in media, in our general conversations, but it's important to be precise about defining this cohort. So the way we look at Bharat is comprised of about roughly 150 million households, and these households are not necessarily rural households or small city households, right? So they could be in any city, any part of India, but what really defines them is the income cohort. As per our definition, Bharat is comprised of households with a rough annual household income of about $6,000 to $10,000, somewhere in that ballpark. So that's a income definition and the cohort size definition. I think the third characteristic which defines Bharat is that behaviorally, while they are probably located in locations which are different from the upper income counterparts, but in terms of all their behaviors, aspirations, wishes, they are all converging together with their upper income counterparts as well. So that's, I think, the crux of defining what Bharat means. And now to talk about consumption numbers, the Bharat cohort as a whole, these 150 million households that we spoke about, as an aggregate, they are consuming about $700 billion of total goods and services in a given year. And as per our financial estimates, as per our bottom-up modeling, I think the number could go up to $1 trillion in the coming few years. So the size of the opportunity that brands and platforms need to go after when looking at the Bharat cohort, that's really, really sizable, and this is a cohort that no one can choose to ignore anymore.
Beyond just more buyers, how is the Bharat grocery basket itself changing?
Three big shifts are happening in the Bharat customers' basket. I think the first shift is simply from a loose goods consumption, or let's say loose foods consumption, to a packaged consumption. So let's say oils or pulses, staples, all that is shifting in a really big way from the loose and unhygienic consumption in a way to the packaged goods. That's one. I think the second big shift that is happening is, I spoke about healthy, but just to give some numbers, speaking to customers, 8 out of 10 customers told us that gradually they are increasing the quantum of protein they are putting in their diet. It could be as simple as adding one egg to the daily diet, or let's say putting some protein atta to their bread, right? So their incomes don't allow for a lot of spending on these kind of proteins and healthy item, but whatever it allows, they are able to replace it and substitute it in their diet. So healthy for sure is a big consumption theme in the Bharat cohorts. The third one, which is very interesting, is the indulgence or aspirational consumption. So because of so much access to content, today a Bharat customer also wants to consume Korean noodles, for example. They would also like to consume ice cream of a wide variety of flavors. So these indulgences, the quantum of which will be lower than their upper income counterparts, but they would still like to spend on it in various points in time whenever their budget allows. So those are three big shifts. I would like to conclude with a very important point across all the three shifts, that while Bharat customers are wanting all these things, they are not attached to a particular brand. They would like to get this from whichever brand is possible, even if it's a private label, even if it's an unknown brand. They are not attached to the big fancy brand labels.
And Kushal, given the Bharat grocery is still overwhelmingly dominated by kiranas, where does the online price really sit?
So to put some numbers into perspective, India's grocery market is already more than 600 billion odd annual spends. Of that, 91% spend actually happens via kiranas. Online currently takes a small 3% share of this market, which is expected to grow to almost 7% as per our estimates by the end of this decade. So that, of course, brings to life a significant opportunity that's being targeted by the different online grocery models. Within this 7% of the future grocery market, both quick commerce as well as the value grocery models are playing, and they're coexisting as well.
And what does it actually take to win the value grocery space?
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of two things, broadly speaking. One part is selection, And within selection, it's again composed of like 3-4 levers which the value grocery players would have cracked the right way. It involves including the right selection of regional brands, regional labels which are more consumed in a more localized fashion in a particular areas, particularly in tier 2 odd cities. It involves, to Mrigank's point, getting in the right private labels that retailers or value grocery players can actually come forward with, which helps them provide the aspirational products at the right price point without associating a very strong brand to it. And it also expands to provision of small pack SKUs, because that is what unlocks the affordability for the Bharat consumer, which is pretty critical when they're looking to make any purchase. So all of that fits into the selection bucket. Secondly, it's the cost of fulfillment. Unless you really get the cost of fulfillment down in the Bharat landscape, your ability to really fulfill this basket doesn't exist in a more sustainable way. And the reason is that Bharat consumers transact in small ticket sizes, and to actually serve a small basket, your cost of fulfillment has to be fairly low. The initial value grocery models, which have actually launched their offerings in this space, are operating at a fulfillment cost of around 50 rupees for the full end-to-end supply chain. This is almost half of what a quick commerce player actually operates. So that's the kind of efficiency that needs to be built into the fulfillment model to make this actually work.
A big thank you to Kushal and Mrigank for taking us through the value grocery opportunity and telling us what it takes to win there. A big thank you to all of you for tuning in, and hope to see you in the next Redseer podcast.